and welcome back to the Real Positive Girl podcast. My name is Sabrina. Thanks again for joining me for another episode. Happy Friday! We definitely made it to the weekend. If it is your weekend, I understand that many people work different work schedules. And also a lot of us are just like, I don't even know what day it is. Every day is Saturday. So, and I think one of the most funny things I've heard recently is that right now, the Monday through Friday is like the longer weekend, and then the Friday, Saturday, Sunday is the shorter weekend or whatever. I don't know. So anyway, you want to think about it. But yeah, again, happy Friday. I hope that your day is going well and that it's awesome. And especially if it's just started, I hope it's just going to be awesome. Just amazing. Get lots of things done. Feel productive. Feel amazing. And if your day has already started and it's not great, as I say every single time, I hope that you find at least 5 minutes that you can spend by yourself, that you can help yourself to come back to baseline, to regroup, feel peaceful, problem solve whatever problems that you need to solve for that day or the next day, and be able to salvage the rest of the day so that it's positive and not throw away the rest of the day just because a couple of bad things happen. I encourage you to keep that in mind anytime you're having a bad day, because it is not fair to the day or anyone that you have to share your life with, because why would you do that? Why would you throw away the rest of the day just because a couple bad things happen? Like, it's a waste. So anyway, happy Friday. This week we are talking about emotions, and today, the last episode for the week, we are going to be talking about emotional intelligence. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Being emotionally intelligent is one of those things that will help you become your best self all around on the regular. It will help you be able to manage yourself and your relationships. Things that are encompassed within being emotionally intelligent is to be self-aware, which we talked about on Monday. Being self-motivated, ability to manage your own emotions, social skills, and social awareness. Now, as I just mentioned, I have already talked about being self-aware on Monday. So if you would like to hear more about that, please check out that podcast. But basically, being self-aware, it involves understanding your own emotions, thought processes, and having a proper self-assessment. So if you'd like to hear more about that, go ahead and check out that episode from Monday. But being self-motivated, so let's talk about that one, involves just having the initiative to go after opportunities and do what needs to be done. It also includes the drive to meet your own personal expectations, which is super important. And I think that we should all have our own set of personal expectations. Remember, though, with your expectations, it is very unfair and wrong to, project your expectations onto other people, because expectations are personal and they should be personal. They shouldn't be something that you're thrusting onto someone else unless you as a parent are giving those to your children. And even in that case, if you have expectations of someone, even your children, you need to make sure those are known, because if you have expectations of people and they don't know them, then that's still unfair and it's not right, and you're not going to get the result that you want. So just a little extra piece there. But yeah, so being self-motivated, you gotta have the initiative to go after opportunities, do what needs to be done. And if you're not self-motivated, then I really encourage you to listen to my podcast episodes from last week where I talked about motivation. But also, I would really implore you to think about why you're not self-motivated. What do you feel like is a barrier from you being self-motivated? Take some time to be self-aware and to really think through, like, why am I feeling this way? What's going on? What happened to my initiative? Do you just feel like there aren't any opportunities to go after and that's the reason why you're not feeling motivated? Or you don't feel like anything needs to be done? It's definitely a conversation that you should have with yourself. Spend some time like journaling or just note-taking about it to really discover why. But being self-motivated is important because it really just helps you to keep going on your journey despite what your end goal may be. Being able to manage your own emotions is important too, because you make decisions based on what you think the outcome will be and how it will affect those around you. Responsibility is wrapped up in there too. So managing your emotions, knowing how to react in certain situations, how to reach out and help others, being responsible for your emotions, for your actions, depending upon who you're with, or even if you're just by yourself. It's really important. And also managing your own emotions really works side by side with how your mindset is and how you live your life, which is why I talk about at the top of every show that if you are having a bad day, you need to do your best to take some time to reset and readjust your mindset so that you can still enjoy your day and get what you need to get done, as opposed to just throwing it all away and calling it all the wash. I don't feel like you're managing your emotions very well because you're letting them kind of just take over the situation and hold you hostage in that way if you aren't able to just, manage it and switch things around. Having basic social skills on how to communicate with others, be a leader in your community, work within a team, and even conflict management. So social skills are maybe something that you wouldn't think is wrapped up in emotional intelligence, but it is, because a lot of our social skills are based upon like what's going on in our mind. So, like I mentioned, communicating with others. Do you feel like you communicate with others well? Do you feel like you are able to get your point across? Are you able to have good listening skills, which is definitely a part of communicating? Do you feel like you're able to understand like what they're saying as follow-up questions, really to be informed on what is needing to be communicated, and really get the gist of it? Being a good leader though in your community, so whatever it is you do, like let's say that you're like, no, I just work at a call center. I'm not really a leader. Like, well, what do you do outside of that? Like, do you play sports? Do you volunteer? Do you go to church? Are you like a parent? Like, if you're just a parent, like it's an immediate leader in your community, because you are growing and teaching and bringing up what am I trying to say? You are growing and teaching and learning up our future. So, and I feel that way too as a mom. Like you are, helping to implement what is going to be the future community. And that definitely makes you a leader, because based upon how you're doing that is really going to be reflected in your child in some ways. I do know that, children will grow up and be who they're going to be, and not necessarily exactly who you taught them to be, depending upon parenting skills, whatever's. But you're still a leader because you are raising the future. Working within a team is super important. This is something that I know a lot of people can struggle with and a lot of people really enjoy. Some people just don't like working within teams. They prefer to be a loner, to work by themselves. I totally get that. I feel like that a lot of the times, but then other times working within a team to be collaborative is so fun, and you really learn a lot about other people and about yourself with how you work in that team dynamic, which I feel like is important, and definitely an important social skill, because despite the fact whether you like working in teams or not, you definitely need to know how to work within a team, because there's always going to be something where you have to work in a team, so it's important to know. And then conflict management is something that I feel like a lot of people don't necessarily highlight, and it needs to be highlighted, because as I was talking about anger yesterday, it's important to know how to control your anger and to mitigate what's happening in the moment and step back from it, and to be able to manage those feelings and emotions. And conflict management can also bleed into how you can help others manage a conflict that they're having between each other, kind of being like the mediator, understanding both sides, understanding what's going on, just being helpful in that. So those things are definitely important for social skills. Lastly, social awareness is important because it involves empathy, serving and helping others, and understanding how the community you live in works and how it can work to help you. So social awareness, having empathy is so important, just really like reaching out and caring for others and how they're feeling and how they're doing, and understanding that. I know it's maybe a skill that people feel like they don't have, but honestly, I think that if you just opened your heart a little bit more, I know this is going to sound like weird and you're like, no, it's not true. But I feel like if you just took a little bit of time to really like listen to someone and take a little bit more energy to understand them, then you could be a little bit more empathetic if you feel like you aren't. Sometimes I feel like people just say that they aren't because they don't want to be, because they don't want to have to dip even the smallest pinky into someone else's feelings. And I'm not saying you have to be wholly involved, like super sympathetic, but just being empathetic and, just aware. It's necessary and super important if you want any relationship that you're in, even the most distant of friendships, to actually work and thrive. It's something that you need to understand and be able to do. Serving and helping others, and that is so important. I feel like just volunteering or helping out with people, or even just being a good neighbor, could be categorized under that. And understanding how the community you live in works and how it can work to help you is important, because just understanding your community and how things work, how you can get things to work for you, in a sense of what things can you give back, and then find that those things are given back to you, or just to understand the rules of how things go and how you can live within that community at the most peace and the most happiness, and without like creating any enemies or anyone trying to come at you. So I think that I feel like I was only really able to like touch on the super surface of all these things, and I think that I will be doing a full week talking about emotional intelligence, because I find it very interesting. I don't know if anyone else does, but if you do, come looking for that in the next coming weeks. In the end, being emotionally intelligent will help you be the best person you can be, and have the mindset you need to achieve what you are working towards, no matter what it is. Because if you're just on top of, being self-aware, understanding your emotions, having social skills, having social awareness, just being motivated, managing your own emotions, just understanding all of these things, and really, learning more about yourself all the time will really help you to continue to work on being your best self. And I say continue working because I feel like that job will never be done until we're dead, because you might think that you are at the height of your life and you're the best you can ever be and there's nothing you can work on, but there's always something that can be worked on. Absolutely always, for everyone. It just takes some time for you to step back and see what that is. And I'm not saying it's major. I'm not saying it's minor. It's just there's always a little bit of something, because no one's perfect. And this will definitely contribute to your mindset and help you achieve your goals that you are working towards. So just something to consider. That's it. That's it. I hope that you guys are having a great day. Again, I really hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you did enjoy it and you think you know someone that might enjoy it too, I encourage you to share it. Please check the description box for the notes for the show today and where to find me on Instagram, or my email address if you have any questions or comments. Again, thanks again for joining me for this episode and for this whole week if you were here for all the episodes. Feel free to go back in the past and listen to any episodes you may have missed. I know this is like episode 45, I believe. So, I'm really making strides here. It's awesome. But again, I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks again for joining me. Have a great, amazing weekend. Have so much fun. I really hope it's sunny wherever you live. And I will join you guys next week. Have a good one. Bye.